What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to John Street Hockey. I am the mayor of John Street, Sean Campbell. Um, it's a bit of a weird day today. Obviously, we find out early this morning via Frank Saravalli that Elaine Vigneault is out as the Flyers head coach. Mike Yeo, shortly thereafter, confirmed to be the interim head coach. And a little while after that, we find out that power play coordinator Michelle Therrien is out as well. Um, with that being said, Mike Yo's getting ready to step in his first game as the Flyers head coach tonight. That puck drop will be at 7 o'clock. Um, it's funny because we just did a show 2 days ago, me and Kevin. And by the way, Kevin couldn't be here tonight. He's at the game, so we all know what typically happens after an NHL team fires their coach. So hopefully he's there and he'll catch a win tonight. Um, but again, it's a weird day. I mean, we all kind of saw this coming to a certain extent. AV had been struggling. The team as a whole had been struggling. Chuck Fletcher, in his press conference at noon, had some very kind words to say about Alain Vigneault. Obviously has high respect for him as a coach. We've seen what AV has done in prior landing spots. Unfortunately, that success was lost when he came to Philadelphia. I think at a certain point his voice kind of fell on deaf ears, um, much like the end of the Andy Reid era. Now I get it, football coaches and hockey coaches are much different, but same thing. The end of the Andy Reid era, his message was falling on deaf ears. They had already heard all of his tricks, all of his motivational tactics. And it's the same thing here with Elaine Vigneault. His voice was falling on deaf ears. With that being said, Mike Yeo had been running a fairly successful penalty kill, one of the few aspects of the team to this point that has performed well. Now, I say well, obviously, a little bit tongue in cheek. They're slightly above average, just above middle of the pack in penalty kill. But it's one of the few things that had been going well for the Flyers thus far this season. Drink here. Now, what does this mean moving forward? Do I think that Mike Yeo is going to be the coach to finish the season? And honestly, I don't think so, barring the team goes on, a hot streak here to start his tenure as the interim coach. Say they rip off, you know, 9 games, or they win 7 out of the next 10. Okay, maybe then you ride Mike Yeo to the end of the season. But the rumor mill's already swirling. They're already talking about Rick Tocchet coming home, former Flyer, former head coach of the Arizona Coyotes, and former assistant coach on some fairly successful teams. Obviously, he spent some time in Pittsburgh on some of their Cup teams. Spent some time in Toronto in some of Phil Kessel's better years. I think that his time in Arizona, while short, I do feel like he could have had success there had the team around him been better. Like, I don't think that Arizona by any means had a team that was ready to win. I think they kind of pushed all their chips into the table when they make moves for guys like Taylor Hall and Phil Kessel, and obviously that didn't work out. And Tocchet, unfortunately, was clipped. He's currently doing the intermission reports with the TNT broadcast crew. He had some opportunities to take high paying assistant coach positions, but he chose to go into the broadcasting spectrum, I believe, because he was expecting one or two coaches to be let go this year. And I believe he was hopeful at landing a head coaching position, which is a lot easier to do coming out of the media world than it would be as an assistant coach on somebody else's staff. obviously that team would be reluctant to let you go. And I believe there may also be something in a collective bargaining agreement against that. So, Rick Tocchet, maybe a Flyers coach. We'll have to see. Guys, by the way, don't forget to drop your comments on what you're seeing here, what you're thinking about AV being out. Make sure you drop those down below in the Hubba Hubba Hoagies comment section, and we'll make sure we flash them up on the screen. Any questions, concerns, comments, whatever you got, your thoughts, drop them down below in the comment section. Appreciate everybody checking in on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. That's right, guys. We are on YouTube now. We're on. We got the John Street Hockey YouTube channel up and running. The past few episodes have been live streamed on there as well. So don't forget to head over there, smash that subscribe button. And if you're not already following us on Twitter and Facebook, go ahead and make sure you do that. Twitter at John Street Hockey. That's at John ST Hockey. Facebook.com/John Street Hockey. Now, AV's out. I'm going to keep saying it because that's what this pod's about. It's an emergency pod because Alain Vigneault is out. Do I feel like it was justified? Yes. The team had just lost 8 straight games. We had just lost another one last night. And to be honest with you, I feel like we were poised to lose another one tonight. I think this firing is coming at an opportune time. In the press conference earlier, Mike Yeo spoke about some of his experiences taking over teams in the past as an interim coach. I believe he'd done that in St. Louis, had some success there. He was on a Pittsburgh staff that won a Stanley Cup after a coaching switch. So he does have some experience in these situations. We'll have to see what happens, obviously. But I do think Mike Yeo is going to show some promise here in the interim basis. Another guy they're talking about in the rumor mills is John Tortorella, another guy that had entered the media space after his exit from Columbus last year. Um, Another guy, obviously, master motivator. He's kind of along the lines of a guy like Hitchcock. If my whole team hates me, they'll kind of band together. That kind of guy. Obviously, that's an older mentality. It's a mentality that isn't very prevalent in the game anymore. But I do believe that if you're looking for a guy just to take over a club for one season, a guy like John Tortorella does have something to offer you. I think he could come in, light a fire under your ass, get the boys going a little bit. But again, we'll have to see. This is the first day. Um, that being said, we do have a hockey game tonight. Um, Before we dive into tonight's game, I am going to dive into Mike Yeo and his history as a head coach. So I'm going to pull up hockeyreference.com here for you guys. Okay. Mike Yeo has been a head coach for now, this will be his third team. He coached in Minnesota from 2011, 2012 through 2015-16. Then obviously 16-17, he was with St. Louis and stayed with them till 2018, 2019. Obviously, he was the coach that got fired the year that Craig Berube got taken. The year that Craig Berube took over on an interim basis after that team was in last place at the All-Star break and led them to a Stanley Cup. Do I think that's going to happen? Absolutely not. It was very improbable. With that being said, Mike Yeo is extremely excited for this opportunity, and I think us as a fan base need to get behind him, encourage him as well as this team. Let's see, my good buddy Bobby Disco checking in. He says Flyers fire yet another coach and are going to make yet another coaching change. Over the past 8 years, have changed GMs and made goaltending changes, also made trades and lineup changes. But in the last 8 years, two things have been a constant and have not changed. One, the Flyers have not been competitive, and two, Claude Giroux has been the captain. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. It's time for Giroux to go. I would settle for him being busted down to the third line as a grinder, but holy shit, Bobby. But it's too late for that. Well, Bobby, you are checking into the wrong show if you're going to bury our buddy Claude Giroux. Um, I didn't want this to be a Claude Giroux show. Obviously, this is an emergency pod about AV, but since Bobby brought it up, the Flyers as an organization have wasted Claude Giroux's career. They've wasted his prime. He's had some wonderful seasons in the orange and black with some less than spectacular teams surrounding him. Very limited playoff experience because, again, the teams around the captain have not been playoff teams, and it's that simple. Just because a guy's not Chris Pronger and super vocal, in your face, ready to slam the seventh defenseman into a fucking locker, doesn't mean that that guy can't be the captain of your hockey club. If anything, I think Claude Giroux's leadership style bodes better in today's NHL, where some of these younger athletes, I don't want to say they're soft, but they don't take as well as just being yelled at. If you're yelling at them, they want to know why. They want to know what they're fucking up and why you're yelling at them. And a guy that just barks at you like, say, Chris Pronger, and don't get me wrong, I loved Chris Pronger, but that kind of captain, I don't think resonates as much with the younger, more modern NHL. So that's my thoughts on Claude Giroux. And Bobby Disco, love you, brother, but you're dead wrong on that one. Now, um, it's mediocrity. I will agree with that. Over the past 10 years, it's been a mediocre franchise. Obviously, we had a little bit of success a few years ago when we got knocked out of the playoffs by the New York Islanders. But really, that's been our deepest playoff run since what, 2010. I mean, we've been a few times since then. Obviously, we kept meeting Pittsburgh and Washington in the first round throughout some of their deep playoff runs and kept running into those teams. But obviously, you got to beat those teams if you want to win Stanley Cups, right? So we're gonna dive back into Mike Yo here now that we've got the Claude Giroux talk out of the way. Now, career head coach, career record as a head coach for Mike Yo. He's coached in 482 NHL games with a record of 246 and 181, with 55 overtime losses for a points percentage of .567. His best year as a head coach would have been, pulling it up now, would have been with the 2014-2015 Minnesota Wild. He coached in 82 games to a 46, 28, and 8 record with 100 points. Let's see. So, I mean, obviously, there's nothing really spectacular here, but some of those mid teens Minnesota teams obviously weren't the best. And St. Louis obviously struggled for a few years there after Ken Hitchcock. They kind of lost their identity for a little bit there, and honestly regained it with the coaching change from Mike Yo to Craig Berube. So I don't think that Mike Yo is going to be the long term answer. Again, there's guys like Rick Tocchet and John Tortorella and plenty of other guys out there, and honestly, there's younger guys out there that I'm sure are itching for a chance to coach this Flyers team. So we'll have to see what direction the team goes in from this point. Now, we do have a game tonight, and I'd like to dive into it. But if you guys have anything else to say about the coaching change, where you think they might go with the hiring, don't forget to drop them down below in the Hubba Hubba Hoagies comment section. We're taking on the Avalanche tonight, a team that, thus far hasn't been exactly what we expected they would be. But a team that I still believe is highly favored in the Western Conference. Nobody's really pulling away in the West this year. Um, I still think it's between Colorado and Vegas. They're obviously the two front runners. So let's dive into tonight's game. Obviously, the Flyers' power play has been abysmal. Complete opposite side of the coin. The Avalanche are clicking at a 21.9%, good enough for 10th in the league. Our penalty kill still towards the top of the middle of the pack at 13th. Face-off percentage of Flyers are always great in the face-off dot. Now the Avs, in terms of goals for, are first in the league, averaging 4 goals a game. 4 goals a game. That's absolutely insane. Definitely good enough for first in the league. But they're also giving up an average of 3.38 goals against per game. If the boys come out firing on all cylinders and they find a way to finish, which has been the nail in the coffin for this team recently, do they stand a chance to win the game? Yes. Am I hopeful that they'll win? Yes. Do I think they're going to win? We'll see. I will say this though. Um, it's always a good betting pick to take a team that has just fired their head coach in their first game back. Um, so why not throw a couple of shekels on the Flyers tonight? Maybe they come out firing on all cylinders. Um, that would be great. I'd love to see some winning hockey again. But again, this is a pretty tough team we got coming up here in Colorado. I didn't dive into yet Michel Therrien. Michel Therrien is also out as the Flyers power play coordinator. I don't think I need to talk too much about this because you guys all know our power play has been absolute dog shit all year long. I'm sorry, they had a little bit of a hot start. But for the most part, our power play has been terrible. And that's been a problem that's ailed them for really going back to the bubble. I hate to keep bringing the bubble up, but that's when the power play died. That's when Travis Konechny's game went to shit, and neither one of them have come back since. Drinking my pain away, as they say. So yes, Michel Therrien, another guy with some head coaching experience. Actually won some Stanley Cups in Pittsburgh. Big Pittsburgh influence on this staff the last couple of years. Kind of glad to get that gone, actually. Let's see. Anybody else dropping some comments down below? I'm not worried to have a little exchange here, guys. Drop them down below. Drop your comments. Tonight's game, AV's out. Whatever's on your mind, drop them down below. Real quick, guys, I did want to mention too. We got 2 live events coming up here in December, week of Christmas, actually. So 21st, I believe, is a Tuesday. We will be back at Pike's Pub, 2nd Street Pike, Southampton. We're going to be there. The Flyers are taking on the Capitals. We'll be there watching the game, live reacting. Who knows who the coach will be, but we'll be there. We'll be drinking beers, live reacting to the game, giving some stuff away, including a $20 Hubba Hubba Hoagies gift card. So make sure you're there. Get a chance to win a gift card, the Hubba Hubba Hoagies, as well as a $25 Visa gift card, and maybe a few other things. We'll see. And then on the 23rd, just 2 days before Christmas, we'll be back at Neshaminy Creek Brewing Company. Flyers are taking on the Penguins that night. Always a great Keystone rivalry game. Glad to be at Neshaminy Creek for that one. We'll be there, same thing, drinking beers, live reacting to the game, giving stuff away. But being that it's so close to Christmas, we're gonna have a little Santa Claus costume competition. Myself, Kevin, and one of the bartenders from the Neshaminy Creek Brewing Company will be the judges. Um, the best Santa Claus costume will win a $25 Visa gift card. Once again, that is the best Santa Claus costume on the 23rd at the Neshaminy Creek Brewing Company. Make sure you guys make it out to one or both of those events. We always love catching up and seeing all you guys live. So back to the team. Um, Obviously, again, we've lost 8 straight games, two in overtime, but nonetheless, 8 straight games. Got Colorado tonight, and then just pull the schedule up here. This laptop's killing me. And then we're taking on the Devils. Let's see, when do we have the Devils? We have the Devils on Wednesday, 7 o'clock in New Jersey. I was hoping that that would be an opportunity for a get right game, um, either that game there or Saturday's game against the Coyotes. But it appears tonight's going to be the get right game. Again, the coach is out. Mike Yeo is going to be behind the bench. Um, they did mention in the press conference who was going to be running the power play. I can't remember off the top of my head who that is going to be, but a different voice leading the power play, always a good thing, especially when you're floundering at 30th in the league. Not really a whole lot left to say. I mean, AV's out. There's a couple of guys that are, being rumored to come to the Flyers to be coaches. Rick Tocchet, obviously the big name. John Tortorella is another one being thrown out there. Um, you guys watch and drop down below who you think they're going to hire. Let's talk about it. Got a half hour till puck drops. I'm not going to keep you guys past puck drop, obviously. Now, per Elliot Friedman, Rick Tocchet is going to be towards the very top of the coaching search. Now, I will say, I think this season thus far has been a bit of an indictment on Chuck Fletcher. Flipped over 43% of the roster. This is his coaching hire. I'm sure he had some heavy influence on bringing in Mike Yeo and Michel Therrien, two guys that he's had experience working with in the past. Um, and again, you flip over 43% of the roster, and a couple of the key guys that you brought in and expected to play big roles haven't played many games for you. Ryan Ellis, obviously, being the one that sticks out. He's the guy that we expected to have, really steady that first pair and anchor Ivan Provorov and, kind of take the reins on that one, open Provy up a little bit more for some offensive creation and really just kind of show him how to be a number one defenseman. Ristolainen obviously missing time early on. And now your coach is out. I mean, this season thus far, I think, is an indictment on Chuck Fletcher. Um, Obviously, the biggest key to being a good general manager is drafting well, and I think he's done well so far in the draft. And I think he's done a halfway decent job at bringing in some lower level players on some veteran guys on cheap contracts and stuff like that. But I mean, the record speaks for itself, and I do think that it leads back to Chuck Fletcher. I think I saw Chris Therrien earlier. He posted on his Facebook page about how this is an indictment on player personnel and that firing the coach he doesn't believe is going to make much of a difference, and that he thinks it's time that the Flyers rebuild. And I can't say I disagree. I really think we've just been prolonging the inevitable here. And honestly, if we're gonna rebuild, I'd like to do it soon so we don't waste the primes of guys like Sean Couturier. While we still have him under contract and he's getting ready to really enter his prime. So I don't know. I mean, the Rangers started their rebuild and they've turned it around here in just about 4 years. Meanwhile, we've been kind of struggling in the middle of the pack, so to speak, in that same amount of time. I mean, we could have torn this down and rebuilt it from the ground up 4 years ago and been so much better off. Granted, we tried to do that with Ron Hextall, and it led to some less than spectacular picks. Nolan Patrick is the one that stands out, but um, I don't know. I think again we're just kind of prolonging the inevitable here. I think we are going to have to rebuild at one time or another. Um, if that's the case, if they're looking at rebuilding going into this off season, selling off some contracts and things of that nature, maybe Mike Yo is perfect to kind of take over that Brett Brown role. As that rebuilding head coach, the guy that's kind of going to develop some of your younger talent and give them chances to play. And I'm not saying that I want us to tank here, but I do think a rebuild's on the horizon. But we'll have to see what direction Chuck decides to take the franchise. With that being said, guys, I don't have a whole lot else for you. So I'll leave you with this. Today's a dark day for the Flyers franchise and for me as a Flyers fan. But I see sunlight on the horizon. I know that one day again in my lifetime we will hoist Lord Stanley's Cup. And I'll be here sharing in all the pain, all the suffering with all you guys until that day. I love and appreciate all you guys for checking in today on the John Street Hockey Podcast. I know Kevin appreciates you guys as well, even though he could not be here with us tonight because he's got season tickets. If you are heading down to the barn, make sure you say what's up if you see Kevin. Guys, we appreciate everybody checking in. I hope you check in with our awesome sponsors this holiday season. Make sure you head on over to Hubba Hubba Hoagies on Woodburn Road in Langhorne, Pennsylvania. Uh, just by the Reedman Toll Auto Mall and the Oxford Valley Mall. If you're out there getting your Christmas shopping done, why not stop in for a sandwich? Who needs a food court? Right? We've all been to the mall. The food courts are always the same. It's McDonald's over here. You got some Chinese joint in the corner, a chicken place, a Subway. It's all the same bullshit. You've had it every time you've gone to the mall. So why not go to a delicious hoagie shop, Hubba Hubba Hoagies, right down the street from the Oxford Valley Mall. Make sure you check them out while you're out doing your Christmas shopping. And for the men in your life with a luscious beard like mine, make sure you pick them up some Norse Beards beard care products. That's Norse Norse beards.com. Use the promo code John. Get yourself 10% off your entire order. Order soon. Make sure you get everything in time for Christmas. Your stocking stuffers. Their beard oil and beard balm and beard butter are perfect stocking stuffers. Neshaminy Creek Brewing Company. Who doesn't love an ice cold craft brew, right? So check them out. Available in most of your local beer distributors. But if you'd rather go and buy direct, they are in Croydon, Pennsylvania, right on Ray Avenue, just off of Cedar, minutes from Ben Salem in Northeast Philadelphia. That's Neshaminy Creek Brewing Company. Make sure you go in there, tell them that John Street sent you. And last but not least, Pike's Pub. You need somewhere to unwind after dealing with these stressful holidays or your Christmas shopping, and maybe you want to cut loose because you're sick of the Flyers losing. You need to take the edge off a little bit. Why not go over to Pike's Pub? They got pool tables, bubble hockey, delicious food, cold beer, and an assortment of liquors. So head on over to Pike's Pub on 2nd Street Pike, Southampton, Pennsylvania. Make sure you let them know that John Street sent you. We appreciate everybody for checking in today. Hopefully the Flyers can turn it around here tonight against the Avalanche under new coach Mike Yo. And stay tuned for this coaching search. We're out.